Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss every single thing to do with the market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and the attention market, including any initial attention offering proposals and markets relating to that specific kind of market. Loaded up for discussion today. We've got the Hyperliquid whale, James Wynn, I think getting liquidated. They were going to double check that. We're going live. There were some reports, a bit of mixed reporting on whether it was entirely liquidated or partially liquidated. We'll give you an update there on what's taking place. Laudio has also taken over the timeline. The initial attention offering is going to be a 0.2 SOL pre-sale allocation for the top 1,000 yappers tweeting about loud. So that is taking place. The 1,000 yapper leaderboard is live. We'll talk about that from the investment perspective. We obviously had Ultra on the show the other day if you wanted to get more details on what can be expected. But looking forward to discuss that. And then finally, the SEC files to dismiss case against Binance. And actually, Binance and Coinbase listed Hype Perps, are about to list Hype Perps. So those are two kind of knock-on or interesting related things. We've also got the latest on price action on crypto and NFTs as usual, plus a general discussion on what is going on. I've got Legendary and Brett in the co-host seats with me today. Cannot wait to get into the discussion. But just before we do, as usual, just a reminder, friends, nothing that we say is financial advice. The market is incredibly risky. We do not know anything for sure. So please proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Brett, it's Friday. It's the 30th of May. How you doing? How you feeling?
Thanks, buddy, for coming to me first. Things are going great. Not so great with my face. I know I reported on Wednesday that I was dealing with a sty. I still am. It's kind of annoying. So no, I don't have Bell's palsy. My face isn't falling off. It's just my eyes is giving me it's a little bit of trouble. But you know, things are what they are. Trying to stay active on that timeline. I'm really skeptical still of the Stay Laudio stuff. I don't think that board really fucking makes sense. Even like,
is this because you're not? Would your skepticism change once you break the top 25, Brett? Is that what's happening here?
Well, look, I'm trying not to sell my soul here. So like, I'm trying, like I see it. I'm like, look, I think it's going to be a disproportionate opportunity for the first week. I think just because there's so much attention, it's a cresting 75% mind share right now on Kaito. Ridiculous.
Which is kind of insane, right? I don't know what the highest ever previous was.
Like 20, I think
20,
Infinex, or like another was like 25%, something like that.
Yeah.
So it truly is insane. And so like, okay, I think with everything, with the pre-sales, all this stuff, it's probably gonna be disproportionate rewards first week. So it's like, I want to like at least give it a little bit of effort, you know, but at least be value add when I do it. So I'm not just like slopping all over the timeline. And yeah, like I'm just inspecting a few and I'm like, dude, like Heart Therium, she, whatever, top 20, looks at her profile, has like one or two posts that are like 10,000 total impressions. I had the fucking thing yesterday. I got like 45,000. It's probably at 60 something thousand this morning with like 100,000 bookmarks. Like, what's going into this algo? It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
It's too intelligent, Brett. It's too they told you specifically on the interview, there is no product here. You're analyzing it. The level of analysis you provided.
It's judgment on Kaito Mindshare is what it's judgment on. That's what, like, honestly, like it's starting to make me actually critique it a little bit. I'm like, okay, like what actually goes into this? Is this valuable? Like, does this equate to what I would consider good contribution and or
it's a good question.
I don't know.
Are you ever gonna, just a quick personal one, because we're gonna talk more Laudio stuff in a bit. Are you ever gonna like, have you dug into it from the Mega ETH perspective? Obviously, you've got a board. Are you going to dig into it? Have you dug into it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so like I talked to you and the team, and like we have a board. I've commented previously on how it actually works, right? Like each actual team has a their own board. Their board has their own algo. Their algo has their own parameters. You can do positive and or negative sentiment. You can do weighting towards like long form, short form. It's like there's like you have some parameters you can tweak to like really get towards what you want to do as a protocol. But my understanding is it's just out of the box for Ultra's project.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So look, we're obviously going to talk about Laudio later in the show. There is a segment for it. We will talk about it, but there's also a bunch of other important crypto stuff. The thing that I find interesting at the moment is that there's clear segmentation between people who absolutely hate this and people who are like, look, it's just a financial game that we're playing. Like, let's just play the game. Ledge, I think you're pretty clear what camp you are in when it comes to playing the financial game. Any quick reflection here before because we're going to talk about it later as well, but what's your take?
I think two things. The number one thing is at 75% mindshare, that means that all the other leaderboards are now 4 times easier to rank on. So even if you hate this meta, you can position yourself so easily. Infinex is still distributing, what is it? You correct me if I'm wrong, 6 million?
6 million over 3 seasons, and I just moved up to position 4.
There's nobody posting anything else. I think half the market doesn't know that ETH is down like fucking 4% because everyone's farming audio. So if you don't like that, there's other things to do and they have become way easier. And B, I am entertained by certain people who are criticizing that, but who've been very active in the pack moon farming, which is no different to me. Obviously, I don't think this is going to be sustainable and stay around 4 months. I am farming the shit out of it. I am very happy to admit that. And I'll move on to the next thing once that is over, and I'm having fun and I'm enjoying that, but we'll talk more about that later on the show either way.
Yes, sir. We will talk more about it later in the show because we've got a bunch of other interesting things to talk first. I think we will go to that as probably the first headline, actually, Ledge. So when we talk about the initial attention offering, we'll go to that first. Then we'll do Hyperliquid stuff, SEC stuff, because I want to talk these Bitcoin treasury companies are just flying out everywhere. But we'll talk that in a little bit as well. Okay, let's get everyone up to speed as usual with what is going on in the market, because you're obviously unaware with all of the loud farming. We've got Bitcoin down a couple of percent to $105,000. You've got ETH down almost 4%, back to 2.6. 2.6 or 2.7 is where ETH is at the moment. Today, it's 2.6. XRP is down 4% to $2.20. BNB is down a couple of percent to $670. Solana is down 5% to $163. Just hearing some background noise. I think, Ledge, I don't know if yours is muted at the moment, just to check if it's working. Checking with our other alt majors that we like. Sui's down 5% to $3.50. Hype is down almost 2% to $33. Bounced a little bit. I think it went down as low as 30 for a little bit. So a little bit of a bounce here, coming off that low. Getting into the meme coin side of things, more or less a very red day, almost double-digit red in general. Doge is down 9% to 20 cents. Pepe's down 10%. Trump's down 7. Bonk's down 11. Fartcoin's down 10. WIF is down 8. Pengu is down 10. Red day, guys. Red day across the board. This is what you get when you farm a productless, worthless token, which is explicitly such. We are going down. This is,
you know what this. Yeah, this is remind me. So I made a post yesterday. I, being the new trader that I am now, I'm a trader, dabbling in the Hyperliquid ecosystem. Did my first perp position like 2 days ago. Yeah, to the upside. So being the active trader that I am, of course I'm on top of it. Of course I'm sitting there and actually clicked the button and closed it. I should probably do that today because I chose the wrong day to be having a leverage position.
For this type of trades, you're going to have to actually close the position.
I may do it during the show.
They just sit in your wallet. They're just waiting. Yeah. Whether you sell them or not, it's not like it's not going to kill you. This might
lucky for me. Lucky for me is that I predicted correct and it actually did move to the upside. So now this correction has actually just brought it back into range, like where it was. So it's like, okay, do you keep riding? Do I think it's going to go up? Because it is about Kaito and Laudio, because like all this attention is so crazy, and like if it continues to cycle this way, people are going to continue to funnel their shit into Kaito. Everyone wants these drops and then to sell them and then go into Kaito. Everyone wants to sell their drops and get more and stake Kaito. It's like I feel like this is going to continue to happen a little bit. A little harder than macro is fucking you.
I like the thinking, at least. I think more and more people. The one metric we need to check. I don't know if you're able to drag it up from somewhere whilst I do the rest of the roundup. But the number of Kaito stakers at one point was really, really low. Like this was like 3 weeks ago or something. It was like relatively really, really low. I bet that number is much higher now. I'd be kind of intrigued if you do have that dashboard. But
I'll pull it up.
We'll check back in. Okay, so that's that. Let's keep it move. Actually, let's go to Oxy quickly. Oxy with his hand raised, probably something on Kaito or Ladio.
Yeah,
What's your?
Yeah, I think it's 31 million staked Kaito currently. I was just looking at it this morning.
Ah, perfect. Do you know, is that the dollar? That's the dollar value, right?
I think it.
No, it's
I think
Kaito.
it's token. Yeah, tokens. 31 million tokens.
Okay. The thing that I think would be really interesting to know is the number of, well, so yeah, the amount of Kaito versus what it was, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and then the number of people staking. Because I think materially, there's probably more people as well. Brad, do you have that one now?
Yeah, just looking at the Kaito dashboard built by Kaito. So you're right, it is seeing a ramp up over time. And here, I'll send you the link so in case you want to show it. So the ramp up over time is, yes, roughly on the 15th is when it started to go up. It was at 20 million total staked Kaito at that time. And then it's showing as of 6 minutes ago, we're up to 27.2 million. It's down a little ways. There's a staked Kaito section. And then if you look at unique stakers over time, it's basically been flat for the last since March 22nd. And then since 5/25, so 5 days ago, it has now gone from 15,000 to 16,005. There you go, those two charts right there. So you can see a little uptick through the last like week of unique stakers, which I think is probably a lot of people doing the small amount analysis on a lot of these airdrops, right? Like that Humo one or whatever dropped about 5 days ago. And that's when everyone started doing like, I'm going to do the Pendle YT. Oh, I'm going to do the staking. Oh, I'm just going to sell my shit and get more and buy and stake and do and whatever. So it's like, I think people are getting into position for this like next little run up, but it's probably smaller amounts. I say that, but like Pendle's TVL has like tripled since that time. So I know there are some big players doing this too.
Yeah, and just a quick point, Infinex just announced today that if you are staking Kaito, the Kaito stakers will get like their first proportion of however much they've allocated next week coming. And I can't remember the percentage of. Pardon?
That fast. So that makes me wonder, like,
Yeah,
is it?
I think they might be doing it in the season. So now is season 1, or season 1, and then they'll do a bit more in season 2. A bit more. I think that's how they're doing it. That's
Bros,
what.
If we can time, if we know the snapshots, like if we can sit there and if they broadcast them quickly, like if Infinex does this, you basically eliminate the risk of YT.
I think, yeah. So I think it's not possible to know precisely, because obviously I've invested in Infinex, so I like and I'm really high up on the leaderboard now, so I keep an eye out on all the tweets. They are like telegraphing some stuff. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on it. I need to go back and look. But
I mean, even a
this
week
one
or
they
2
said,
weeks, you could do your entire stack into YT and then get the fuck back out and only lose a little bit of a haircut.
Well, this is what they said season 1. What are we on? Yeah, we're on season 1 is going to be in the weeks, not months. So like, I think that's like season 1's going to be relatively short, I believe. But that's something to double check for sure. Indeed. Okay, let's keep it moving. We're gonna. I want to discuss how interesting it is that a lot of our conversation as part of the financial games we're playing is skewing social as part of the Laudio conversation, because in the end, a lot of people are here to make money. We will cover whatever it takes to help people, or provide the information to do that. But I think that is an interesting observation. Whilst at the same time, we're also talking about Hyperliquid whales getting liquidated for 100 mil, because we're also here for the pure crypto aspect and the trading. So getting into the headlines today, Hyperliquid whale James Wynn, I think, got liquidated for 100 mil. The reason why I say I think is because there seems to be some conflicting reports on that. I don't know if anyone in the comments or anyone else, whilst I am reading this, can confirm or deny. I think there's been like just some other information coming out there. Laudio token takes over the timeline. The initial attention offering is going to be a 0.2 SOL presale allocation for the top 1,000 yappers. Legendary is going to break that down in a bit more detail in a bit and assess, some of the potential values, what the opportunity might be for you. And then finally, big news: SEC files to dismiss the case against Binance. So I'll just give a quick little update there, because I think that is material. So notable price action: Hype is down another 5% to $32. Went as high as 38. Is obviously pulled back aggressively. It went on a huge run, up from $9 basically on the lows. Giga is up 14% on a red day across all the memes. That's one of the only memes that is green. Everything else was pretty red, to be honest. Ledge, anything taking place on the NFT side that is interesting?
Yes, absolutely. You have it on the screen. The beautiful Kaito 101 Yapibara, which did sell for 18 ETH, which also means that the Kaito Genesis NFTs, the boxes have finally revealed 2A collection of capybaras. They're also up 12% on the day, up 28% over the last 7 days, and are generating serious volume. Just to put that in perspective, Bored Apes have generated 100 ETH in volume over the last day. The Kaito Genesis PFPs have generated 265 ETH in volume. So definitely a good amount of traction that is happening around this collection since it revealed.
The rares are going. I'm sitting here looking now. I'm seeing like there's another 15 ETH sale on. It was into a bid on the number 4 ranked. So like the rare ones are actually going pretty good. I'm actually also a little appalled that you didn't put my bread-headed one. Yeah, thank you.
It hasn't sold, bread. I've got this.
Yeah, because the dude, he was trying to make me pay 5 ETH or no 50 ETH for it. 45 ETH was what he listed it at. $120,000. Sorry, buddy. He's on the timeline. He's talking. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna call myself bread now. Bread 2.
Wait, so you don't have this?
No, I don't have it. No, mine revealed into some.
You don't have the bread buns. You don't have the bread capybara.
Yeah, the lack of respect in this place. Remember when honoraries used to be honorary?
Yeah,
I thought the whole point of an honorary is that you make sure that the person gets
you know
it.
what? You know what? Fine, fair. Maybe I'm being a little presumptuous here because it's the trait is called toast. So like maybe it's not me, but
It's
like
not you, man.
I mean, maybe it's not. But yeah, the guy's on the timeline. He's bred 2 now. I didn't get it. I got some mid fucking tuxedo boy, like rank nothing. So yeah.
That's so funny.
If I buy this thing, can I rename myself to Real Bread Guy?
I think it is your right. Yeah.
I like it.
Same thing with the bad buns, like you said. Like they made it, and they're like, it's like, hey, like yeah, I want to wear it, but like I'm not just gonna right click save this dude's PFP. Like I understand it's ridiculous, like it doesn't matter, but like I have some self respect. So yeah, I'm not the real bread, just Stefano. I'm not anymore.
Good. You've got to make the purchase to be the royal bread. That's put money where the mouth is. That's what we need to do. Okay, a couple of other notable sales. CryptoPunk Gold Chain 70 ETH. The Bad Buns Mega ETH Community PFP. We talked about that a little bit. It's actually down 23%, back down to 0.28 ETH. Huge
and
run
they're
up.
Migrating. So if you guys bought, like they're right now the royalty free collection, they announced yesterday that they're migrating to a royalty locked one in the next like couple days. You don't have to do anything. It's just like if you have something listed, you should probably delist it. But yeah, like just hold it in your wallet. They'll airdrop the new one. It'll be in a new contract. Just pretty.
Okay, that sounds fair. Getting into the rest of the roundup, there's a bunch of other really interesting stuff going on, which I think it is important to talk about, no matter how much the timeline wants to just farm the loud thing. SEC states proof of stake staking does not constitute a transaction in securities. Jupiter and the Kazakhstan Stock Exchange signed a deal to facilitate dual listings, which means public IPOs with tokenized shares on Sol kind of like simultaneously. Like that's cool. That's very interesting to facilitate those two things happening at the same time as part of one listing. You had Coinbase announcing that they'd be listing Hype futures for trading next week. And then Binance basically, I think 1 hour or 2 hours later, announced the exact same thing. European crypto firm K33 has raised $6.2 million to buy Bitcoin and explore new services such as Bitcoin-backed lending. Honestly, this has been just we don't really talk about this as a headline anymore because other things kind of take your attention and these things just keep happening. But this Bitcoin treasury, this is why I wanted to talk with Mando about it yesterday and get his take. This Bitcoin treasury company story, which is going to keep repeating with different characters, is something I want to keep a close eye on because I want to know how they're raising and how much debt is involved. Because I want to contrast two things here. European crypto firm, they're raising 6.2 million to buy Bitcoin. Whereas if you look later in the snapshot, sharing this on screen as well for people watching in, PSG Football Club, which is huge football club for our American friends, football being soccer in this case, based in Paris, owned by one of the Qatari companies, entities kind of attached to the government, I think, announced a Bitcoin treasury reserve, which they started last year actually. And it's kind of how we've spoken about this before. There's a huge difference between even the modern market taking some of our capital, buying Bitcoin, which we've started to do, versus people raising and creating different financial instruments to buy Bitcoin. So I think that's the interesting thing that's happening, and people are doing both in droves at the moment is my observation. In other bits of news that you need to get to know from the last 24 hours, Spain's largest bank, Santander, is exploring a stablecoin offering. I think ultimately everyone is going to do that. OpenSea announced the beta for OS2, OpenSea 2 is over. There is a new reward system to include voyages to earn more XP. So apparently, if you want to farm OpenSea in any more material way, there is like some extra stuff for you to do if you want to. And then finally, Nigel Farage, leading candidate to become next UK leader, at the Bitcoin conference, suggested a Bitcoin bill, which he wants to propose, where, you know, essentially there's a Bitcoin reserve for the UK and a 10% capital gains rate for the UK. These like fluctuating capital gains rates and the changing rules around the world, whether it's tariffs, whether it's capital gains, like what a pain, you know, it's just absolute pain for everyone to try to conduct business. Like, where are you supposed to live? Where are you supposed to do business? How are you supposed to do anything when everything keeps fluctuating by 25% on a routine basis? Unbelievably difficult. Although in this case, it would be a good move, but still,
In a
lot of people
borderless
paying at
world,
the higher rate.
that's what sucks, right? Like everything we're doing, like I'm buying things, I'm buying capybaras online, right? Like what does that have to do with where I live, right? Like that's a totally separate thing. I understand like maybe getting taxed on profits as you pull it out and like back into the real world as you actually realize those in a major capacity. I know some places actually do that just whenever you bring it to your bank account. I think Legendary, that's how it works near where you're at. You only get taxed based on the amount that you pull back into your bank account as opposed to every single transaction that takes place on the internet, which makes it seems more sensible to me. But yeah, it's pretty frustrating to have materially different rules for people that are all transacting technically in the same place. And I know there was like, that was the pitch with Stripe's new stablecoin implementation. There's like, it's borderless capital, it's borderless payments, right? Like that's finally what they have. Like they can remove all this shit. It's like, just like, yeah, just pay the fucking money. And like, we all have that freedom.
Yeah. Very, very difficult. Very, very difficult to navigate, but you know, we obviously have to try to. So that's a little bit of that news. That's it. That's the roundup to get you up to speed with everything else you need to know in the space before we get into the main stuff today. And I will be strict on this. We are not talking Laudio yet. We're not talking Hyperliquid whale. We're not talking SEC. Anything catching your guys' attention? Probably not, given 70% of mind shares going in that direction. But anything else you want to pick out here? I picked out the Bitcoin Treasury stuff. I don't know if you want to go there, but what's kind of catching your attention?
Actually, to me, the biggest news is Jupiter in Kazakhstan, because this is a very fascinating model. So the way it works is, also what has happened is that the Solana Foundation, Jupiter Kazakhstan, did sign a memorandum of understanding where basically the idea is that a company is doing its IPO via the AIX, which is Kazakhstan Stock Exchange platform. And at the same time, the tokenized stock will be issued via Interbix and obviously be tradable on Solana. Liquidity provision for that on Jupiter. And we talked about this on the show a couple times from multiple perspectives. We had this thing where it's like, maybe at some point when we see a company like Circle, or a company like eToro, I think it was, at a $4 or $5 billion valuation, and then we see Maple Story, which is a fun game, coming out of the $3 billion valuation, some companies will think is the way to IPO, quote unquote, IPO on the blockchain directly. And we've also seen this big push from multiple platforms to either try to tokenize stocks or companies like Backed Finance having tokenized stocks already. And this dual listing mechanism, find that super, super fascinating, especially if it means that you can get like access to a new IPO if you were to find that interesting for a specific company in Kazakhstan directly on the blockchain and don't have to go via your broker. Maybe you can't even trade stocks from Kazakhstan on your broker for whatever regulation. So I think that's actually one of the biggest news to me that I would have certainly missed amidst the Laudio craze.
I do think that's probably like, that is super notable, right? Like, you know, everyone's trying to ideate on where this industry is going and how, because like tokenized real world assets, you know, stocks, bonds, it's like always been kind of this thing that we've looked forward to. And it's always been in the context of we're going to pull existing stocks on chain and just let you trade stocks on chain. But honestly, like the net new assets being issued on chain is probably the best way that it's gonna like value is gonna be like materialized going forward, right? So it's these net new things saying, okay, we will just do it straight on the blockchain, or we will do it like in conjunction with the blockchain, like Kazakhstan is doing. So whether it's internet capital markets, like where that is the place where it's going, even though yes, we know no ownership in any of the Believe stuff, or it's what Kazakhstan is doing, where they do a dual issuance of stuff on chain and off chain. Yeah, I think the best way is net new stuff, or at least probably the easiest thing to actually deal with, because the iron grip of what the traditional finance has on stocks, I don't want to give up a lot of that stuff. So I will say +1 on that. And then the others, I just kind of went down my own path of checking in on the Pendle stuff. That APY on that pool is now up to 80%. So
go on, just do the little bit of an explainer for people who might not have heard your previous take on Pendle first, and then just get into what you're finding interesting.
Yeah. So Pendlefy is just a product which removes a once singular asset, which would be your, in this instance, staked Kaito, which represents your staked Kaito. So the Kaito token plus all of the yield associated to that, which would be these airdrops we just talked about, Infinex. It takes that and it splits it into two distinct things, YT and PT. One is the yield token, one is the principal token, each one representing the half of the thing. The yield token just represents the yield. The principal token just represents the Kaito, and each one is selling to the other one. The yield people are selling the underlying Kaito to the Kaito holders, and the Kaito holders are selling their yield, so the airdrop claim, like eligibility, to the people who own just the yield. So you get like a leveraged position on the yield. So like that's the thing. And then there's the LP, which you can get into, which kind of facilitates the trading of the two. And because the desire to get just the yield side of Kaito right now is so high, that would be the Infinex. But like, we're just speculating on like, hey, if I buy a shit ton of this yield token and have it for the right window, I get, I could spend $1 and get $5 worth of Kaito on the yield, right? Or on the Infinex claim or whatever. So you can like do some math and kind of figure out how much that's worth. But because that is so appealing right now, the pure principal side is now worth 80%. You get 80% APY on that. So if I sell off my yield, right? If I say I just want Kaito and you give me your Kaito and I'll let you have whatever I'm eligible to claim, I can effectively or nearly double my stack of Kaito over the course of a year.
Let me give you an example, Brett, to make to maybe help other people further understand. So right now at the moment, I bought X amount of Kaito. Half of it I staked because I wanted to play. I wanted to participate, and I wanted to get some of the airdrops. I think that's wise. Half of it I waited, and I was like, am I going to sell this if it doubles, or do I want to go into the PT side? So what you're saying is, if I take my bit and I put it into the principal side, I will no longer get any of the airdrops that I would have got if I had staked, but I'm just going to get an 80% return.
Correct. On your Kaito, compounding Kaito. So 80% of your Kaito, APY. So it's like, it's over the course of a year. It's not like a quick thing.
Go on, Ledge.
Basically, if you're staking Kaito on the Kaito website, you are expressing the bet that the total sum of airdrops that you will receive over the next year is worth more than 79, 80% of the dollar value of your staked Kaito. If you are doing that via Pendle, you are expressing the bet that you think it's less. The airdrops would be less than the 80% dollar value of your Kaito stack. So this is why you say you forego all the airdrops and you're happy to take 80% as yield for doing that. That's the directional bet that you're taking.
And I will say in lower amounts, it's definitely not been, the yield side has won, right? Like I've seen people do the math and show that like, if I staked, 1,000 Kaito or whatever, you actually got more in even just like the Huma airdrop. If you went pure YT side, then would have been the value of the Kaito itself. So like they actually made their money back. It's cool. But like as time goes on, these YTs decay. That means they lose their value faster. You sell off to the Pendles, the Kaito side much faster. And it's just like you can't predict it, right? So and I don't know how staked Kaito distributions go the more you scale up, right? Like, does that same ratio of what you got back for every $1 in staked Kaito that you had, is it the same for $1 as it is for $1 million? Probably not. They probably do some kind of linear fall off or something, but we don't know.
Interesting. One follow-up question, and then we'll keep it moving. Ledge or Bread, actually. When that yield is getting that high on Pendle, surely would that be a leading indicator or a lagging indicator of Kaito underlying price going up? Because if that asset is able to yield such a high amount because the expectation is that the yield from the perceived airdrops coming are so good, wouldn't that mean that there should be some more buying pressure? Ledge?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a convex relationship, right? Like if everyone's chasing the yield, right, more so than the Kaito, then to me that like the yield that you can anticipate is going to be correlated to like the underlying price of Kaito. Yes, you would expect there to be more buy pressure on Kaito itself right now, but like if I'm chasing the yield, it means that I think Kaito right now is hyper valuable because of the yield itself, and therefore I should be buying fucking Kaito, right? And that means like if I'm playing for a future where I think, okay, eventually this will decay and it won't be worth anything, that means the APY will go down. That means I should also probably be selling off my Kaito at that instance. So yeah, I would say it should be pretty strongly correlated to the price of this, or the anticipation of the yield side here and the underlying buy pressure of Kaito itself. Even just to like play the other side of this, right? Like we got caught up in this fervor with the LSC stuff. I saw APYs in the 60s and 70s%, and I was chasing the yield there and I got wrecked, which is why I'm trying to be, even though the numbers look really good on the yield side, I'm trying to be cautious and like conservative and say like, I don't need to maximize this position, right? I don't
Personally,
need
I would only ever do PT. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm trying to be smart here, but now the calculus is it smarter to just stake it and then just sell off whatever I get with yield and try to outpace this 80%? Or is it smarter to just, lock in 80%? Because 80% is crazy.
80% is crazy. Hard to ever beat 80, but great. This is a really interesting one. Ledge, do you want to tie this together before we move on?
Yeah, to the question if it's leading or lagging, I would think it's lagging. If you look at something like the 4% Huma Finance airdrop distribution, the Kaito price did rally after that. I think it's always the case that an event will happen. You will have the Laudio distribution that will be worth whatever amount of dollars. And if that's an attractive amount, people will FOMO into that like after the fact. So for that reason, I think that the yield metric, which then is also a result of that, right? On the Pendle side of things, would also be lagging a bit.
Okay. Very interesting. Keep an eye out for Infinex next week, guys. That's going to be another one. It was like the third tweet in the set of tweets today. I don't know if people will have seen that, but that could be an event that will have an impact there. So keep an eye out for that one. Right, let's get into the main headlines for today. We've got 3 headlines to discuss. We've got the Laudio taking over the timeline. We're going to talk about the initial attention offering. I know lots of people are excited or interested in that. Got Hyperliquid whale maybe getting liquidated. Bread will just clarify, hope to clarify roughly where we are with what's going on Hyperliquid, and we've got some takes there. And then I'll touch quickly on the SEC filing to dismiss case against Binance. Legendary, take it away, man. This is your section.
We have the full details on what is coined an initial attention offering by Loud. And the way it's going to work is there's going to be 2 phases. Phase 1 is the priority access, the guaranteed phase, and that goes to the top 1,000 Loud yappers. That is a 7-day leaderboard. The website Stay Laudio already is showing since a couple of hours ago the full 1,000 leaderboard. And these participants who are on the top 1,000 have early access, exclusive early access during the first 2 hours. That is a 0.2 Sol presale spot. This then is being followed by the community access, first come, first served. That goes to all Kaito users with a linked Solana address and more than 10 smart followers. We've seen a bunch of people trying to farm the, oh, I'm a smart follower, follow me, I'm going to follow you back stuff on the timeline. That is absolutely obsolete to do because the snapshot for the 10 smart followers has already been taken. So there's no point to entertain and engage in any of those games. In terms of some more details in the timeline on that, the IAO begins tomorrow, 10 a.m. EST. The goal is to raise $70,000. That is 400 Sol for 45% of the Loud supply. As I said, phase 1 point to Sol contribution to 1,000 whitelisted wallets goes on for 2 hours. And then the first come, first served phase. Just for better understanding, they've been very, very specific on that. If phase 1 sells out, there's going to be 200 Sol left to be filled in phase 2. And that goes to the people who are A, eligible, and B, the fastest on that. Now to the question, what does that mean? What are some FTV ranges? What could this airdrop be worth? There is, obviously by Moritz loves doing those things, a little table with pre-sale value and FTVs. Just picking out a couple numbers, 10 million FTV would turn a 0.2 Sol pre-sale into 2K, 50 mil would turn it into 11K, 100 mil would turn it into 22K. Just for the entertainment factor, if it goes to $1 billion, which I cannot see happening at all, the pre-sale spot would be valued at $220,000. There is already a whales pre-market on that, which has so little volume that it can't be used as an indicator. And I don't want to be quoted on that. It's just $4,000 of volume in that. There it's trading at 7 cents, which would imply 70 mil FTV, which would put it at $16,000-ish. Again, that's just 4K volume. That is not relevant at all, but the market exists, and I wanted to point that out.
The more I reflect on this, like I know the FUD right now is who's the buyer, and like, okay, the buyer is potentially someone who wants to speculate on it because the yappers are talking about it, right? Oh, everyone's going to continue to talk about this token, therefore I should buy it. It's going to have attention. It's going to grow up. But I don't think that's the exact same as like a typical meme coin distribution, right? Because the distribution depends on the messaging that comes with it, right? Like with Dog with Hat, objectively worthless, right? But it was kind of funny. We could like tie it to other tokens that we had seen that are memes. Like, oh, I could see this being a meme. We have historical like precedents that like Doge goes to $1 gajillion and like all of this stuff. Whereas this, right? Like all of the messaging that is going to come from this token and that is going to be distributed to all of these listeners is just that, like, look at how much money these top people are making. It's not going to be this token is going to be worth billions. It's not going to be this token is a very like super valuable thing that's like a paradigm shift, because all of the messaging that comes with it is just the people talking about themselves and the experiment itself, not that the token will be valuable. And I think if you have the distribution, but the messaging is wrong, it will fall flat. And so I think it will actually be underwhelming to the downside, whelming to the downside, because like the
appropriately whelming.
It's going to be, I'm going to be whelmed on this thing is my guess.
Entirely whelmed.
I'll be very whelmed because it's just like the messaging is never going to be buy this token. Everyone is already saying it's a worthless token, that like, don't buy it. It's not going to do it. Like, do you guys plan on speculating at all on the token itself outside of the pre-sale? I think I will up to like maybe 50 million,
maybe there's something like
throw a good amount of money at it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to be fast enough to get in at that number.
Oh, sorry. What number did you say?
A number.
Yeah, it's just a low number. But it's like,
yeah, like
I get it on the run up, but like, I don't know, man.
Exactly. There could be a number that's like, okay, this is a fun amount of money and it's a fun valuation. It's like, look, this is pure fun, not like no expectation, no nothing, pure wild speculation. The thing that I liked, you were kind of going in this direction. Actually, I'm not sure if you made this point, but you're making a kind of related one. For me,
I'll take credit for it regardless.
Okay. It made me think of this anyway, so it's inspiring. The point is, people, okay, fine. People make money from the token after, because people are trading it. People are trading it because the thing that you said, which I think will not happen, is that people will keep talking about it. People are talking about it now because they want the pre-sale to get the access, or they want the fees. When cast your mind back like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, where I was super vocal about this, and I think a lot of people, most people were as well. The idea of people launching tokens, right? So many people, prominent people, were like not really wanting to launch the Boop token because like I don't really want to have to talk. Or if I am going to launch it, look, I'm making it clear to you, I'm not talking about it. I'm not going to talk about it again. I'm never going to do it. When Jesse from Base was trying to tell everyone to coin their stuff and do this stuff, everyone was like, no, we don't want to be responsible, or look, maybe different people view it differently, but I think there was a broad pushback from some people. It's like, look, I don't want to be responsible for pushing a token. So are the people, this is a question I think people got to ask themselves, are the people who are going to be are the recipients of the fees, this top 25 group of people, going to say, as soon as that token comes out, right, I'm going to push this token now. I'm going to keep pushing this token as everyone sells and the price goes down. Like, the whole point, but all the previous examples is that people don't want to do that. People don't want a token attached to their name. They don't want to be pushing a live token. So like, that's the thing for me where, when I was thinking about it a bit more, I was like, all these people who are going to get the fees, it's like, okay, well, but we're going to want to be quiet about it. We don't want to actually tell you to buy it. So how do you square those two things?
Correct. I think the ultimate irony is like if the traders aren't interested in it at all, and it's just the yappers speculating on the token to cycle 4% fees back to themselves, and like that becomes like this Ouroboros of fees in the allowed token. Like if you don't get interest of like the actual trader, like underlying speculators, then like it's a meaningless thing. So yeah, I think that'll be the funniest outcome if it's just our small pool spitting in each other's mouths, basically.
And in theory, the smaller accounts are the most powerful ones, because if exactly that happens and everyone's getting their airdrop from the top 1,000, and everyone's like, I'm just going to dump that because I don't care about it. It's going to go to zero quickly. Yes, it's going to generate fees, but they're not going to be like very, very high on the way down. And all the yappers who made it the personality, including myself, to try to stay on that leaderboard won't make a significant amount in fees. And I would find that very entertaining as well.
Interesting. Okay. So are there any more things you want to say about this? I feel like that's the right amount to talk about it.
The Kaito stakers will also get a part of the fees. I think that's one thing to keep in mind. What is the split again? 72% of fees goes to the top 25, to the mindshare portion. 18% goes to Kaito stakers. 10% goes to the creators of Stay Loud.
Perfect. Okay, so final take, then we'll keep it moving. Kind of had a whole interview on it the other day. The thing that's interesting to me is this mechanic, and I think this will be maybe an interesting mechanic moving forward. No sell pressure on the token because these recipients will get paid out in SOL. So I do think that is an interesting mechanic. I do also think, unfortunately for those people, that they're not even going to want to push the token themselves, and that's where the attention thing maybe stops. It's all fun and games now, I think, trying to get a hold of a pre-sale slot, but afterwards, I think that's the challenge. Are people really going to put their names pushing a token that they're kind of not in control over? So that would be my question mark. Ledge, you are in the top 25 as things stand. Give just a quick personal take of how you're thinking of playing it, or just your general perspective, given that, and Bread's close by as well, but I want to keep it moving because, I think a lot of people be curious on the other news as well today, but a personal take here.
Yeah, I'm happy to try to stay in for week number 1 and see what that
will
do. Play the game, and that's it. One mini quick thing, because Oxy has shared in the YouTube comments what it could mean for Kaito stakers. I'm going to be super fast on that. So the setup is what we had discussed. Assuming realistic daily volume at 5 mil a day, Kaito stakers would get a 5.3% weekly RI, 10 million a day, 6% weekly RI. If it would do 30 million a day, that would mean a 32% weekly RI on your staked Kaito just on the Laudio fees, probably only in the first week where volume's going to be the highest. That was the math that Oxy did come up with.
Okay. Interesting. Appreciate you, Ox, for running those numbers. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so you're gonna just play the game, see how it goes. I think that is part of the game here, and I think maybe as a final point, we're here to play financial games, guys, and sometimes it's pure crypto going long on Hyperliquid. Sometimes it's farming unit on Hyperliquid by buying UBTC and putting it into Felix and borrowing USDE against it. And sometimes, increasingly so, this new social layer has been put on top of it, and you have an opportunity to play a game for financial gain. So there are various financial games to play in this industry. This is now one of them. It is not going to go away. So prepare accordingly. I think that is that. Brad, did you want to say a final?
Yeah, I was gonna
final
say, yeah, final note. Like I just did that post of like 70% mind share. Like, could you imagine being any kind of like if you had weeks and months of prepping for an announcement for any other protocol right now, and this is the week it lands on, or next week? Because next week it's gonna be all like you'll see numbers. Right now, like it doesn't even start until tomorrow. Then you see real numbers from the fees, and then you see these leaderboards of people going, "Oh my god, I'm gonna make $70,000." Like then it gets weird, right? That's the entire next week of our lives. Right. That's going to happen. So
that is going to be our life next week.
Imagine trying to like prepping for so long. So much work goes into this shit. So much coordination, audits, like contractors, video reviews, all this shit. Kaput. 70% mind share from a vibe coder boy.
Luckily, our business is just
OpenSea had a beautiful announcement actually, but I think it's completely under the radar. Yeah.
Well, we brought it up because we'll keep surfacing whatever is important across the board, and hopefully doing it in the right proportion as well.
Brad, will you postpone for that at Mega if you had a big announcement and it would have fallen on a day like yesterday?
Depends on how big it is. Yeah, if it's something, because like if a what a mainnet launch,
launching, yeah.
Ooh, the big one. No, I think that stuff is almost so critical, and it depends on how much information you've given out ahead of time, right? Like if I have said prior to the last 2 weeks that this thing is coming at the end of the month or whatever, and I'm in that position, yeah, I'm not saying like, bro, I'm moving mainnet because a dashboard is taking over the timeline. I'm not doing that. It's like I'll let the things land where they may.
You can't.
But if it's right, but if it's an internal thing where it's like we're putting a lot of effort in this thing and we're internally targeting this week, I would very much like, guys, let's just put this thing off. Like we're not going to get maximum exposure right now, because you only really, when like, if you think about the catalyst that you have as a project, you don't have a lot of these like big moments. Like for us, it was the Echo thing. It was like our Fluffle launch, it was the Fluffle launch. It was like our Crossy Fluffle game that we did. And then it's going to be like testnet launch. So like we've had 4 things that are like timeline busters, right, over the course of the last 6 months. So it's like you got to pick and choose your spots whenever you can with stuff like that, because you put a lot of effort into it.
For sure. Interesting stuff. Okay, good to have that conversation. Brad, want to go in the direction of Hyperliquid now. This Hyperliquid whale, James Wynn, did he get liquidated for 100 mil? Is this just like something we're concocting? Is it as bad as it seems? What do we need to know here? What have you managed to find out? Because there was a bit of mixed reporting, I think.
Yeah, so lore on James Wynn. James Wynn is this person who came into Hyperliquid and was putting on very sizable positions openly, which leveraged positions openly. He's the one that had the $1.1 billion notional 40x leverage on Bitcoin last week, right? And typically people don't do this stuff, or the skepticism of this stuff is that it's like it's a marketing stunt or something, is because it's typically negative EV to have this large of a position out in the open, because you have people that can see where your liquidation price is, and they can try to do whatever they can to manipulate the market to hunt you down, to basically steal your money, right? Notoriously, we had an instance in the past where CBB got together with some people and said, we're going to target, this trader and see if we can liquidate them, right? Like it just becomes a game for these massive players. Anyways, James Wynn is this person who also, I learned, earned a lot of his funds in unsavory ways, right? Like asking for token allocation for like meme coins and then just straight up dumping it like 1% to 2% in supply, and just like rinse, repeat. I don't know why they kept giving it to him, but I've learned that is how he attained a lot of information on top of some Pepe stuff. Anyways, so recently, he was up as much as $80 million on chain. Like we can see this again because it's on Hyperliquid. It's all public. He, over the course of 48 hours, flips down to like a negative $4 million in P&L. And then just recently, yesterday, actually, people tracking his accounts saw that he is now liquidated for up to $100 million, roughly. So over the course of a week, he just constantly went in and out of positions. He actually flipped from long to short and then long again. So not understanding his rationale, other than him just being a degenerate, and ultimately that appears to be what it was. It was not like a 5D chess move of, Hyperliquid promotional stuff to get hype, to do like a backing of a thing. The dude just likes to gamble, and again, that's kind of what we're surmising. And I mean, it's on chain. It's hard to say like it was it's faked or not real. But again, I haven't seen the latest report of it being not true. But according to Hyperliquid and his vault, that thing is negative $100 million.
Lord above. Okay, well, I think he's putting on some other positions else though. So I think that is the case. But I just wanted to walk through some funny. Ebrink in the comments said these losses are insured by hidden hype points. I don't know if you can cover 100 mil. I don't know. I know they've got a few $1 billion in future incentives to give.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. It's they got like 30-something% of the supply.
James Wynn takes like 30% of that 30%. That would be just the craziest trade. I just wanted to walk through a few takes on this because I think it did spark an interesting conversation about just management of stuff. I think for the objective person, this is clearly unhinged trading, completely unhinged trading. Jez said, James Wynn mode. When you get addicted to the clout, go on public tilt and torch multi-generational wealth on a 3-day bender. And this was actually James Wynn himself said, one thing for sure is that I've exposed just how corrupt these markets are. Guess it's better to just buy and hold Bitcoin on spot, cold storage it. My main thought there was, I do not need to lose 100 mil in Bitcoin to learn that lesson. Like, it's just absolutely not necessary. But it seems like he's doing well. Like, he's still kind of out and about tweeting. And Loopify had this to say: a common misunderstanding people have is that because you have money, you know what you are doing. Him losing this much money does not mean he has this already or a lot more money. Money does not make a person smart, nor stop things like a gambling addiction. I think just talking about that stuff here is kind of helpful because, especially in mania, which, you know, Bitcoin's above 100K, are we moving to 150 sooner rather than later? I'm not 100% sure. Given that lots of people have migrated over to Hyperliquid and someone like Bread is now experimenting with the leverage, like, it's a helpful conversation to have because maintaining the control over the various decisions you take is obviously always the most important thing to be able to do, especially as you kind of step up and become more sophisticated in the space and start to use some of these products, which you might not really fully understand, or you're like still kind of learning, especially when it comes to leverage, when it's the first time that you're doing that kind of stuff. So Ledge, curious for your just like reflection here on, you know, risk management or anything like that might be helpful for the audience. And Brett, if you have anything similar.
Yeah, he also said on that, you call $80 million gen wealth. That barely gets you a super yacht these days. It's a normal swing when doing billion-dollar trades on 40x leverage. You stay in your lane and I'll stay in mine. Definitely good engagement that you can get out a billion-dollar position. Someone in the YouTube comments, GE, was asking a very reasonable question. Is it possible he's hedging on other accounts?
What do you think?
Could be a good farm then. I don't know. Impossible to tell, but yeah, could be. I don't know.
Maybe, I guess you never know, but just incredibly costly, you know, at face value, at least.
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought that'd be helpful to bring up. The final piece of news for the day, which we'll just do quickly, is this news that the SEC is moving to dismiss the Binance litigation as the agency looks to forge new regulatory path for crypto. The agency and lawyers representing the SEC, Binance, and former Binance CEO CZ filed a joint stipulation in court on Thursday. The case has been in a holding pattern over the past few months after both the SEC and Binance asked the judge to stay the case in February. So it looks like they are just, you know, seeking to dismiss the lawsuit against Binance. And that should be that. After a period of time, this harks back to the case which started in 2003 when the SEC sued Binance over being unregistered and misrepresenting trading controls. And in that same year, remember, Binance and CZ pled guilty to Bank Secrecy Act violations, and they paid more than a $4 billion fine to resolve the Justice Department investigation. To be honest, if you pay a $4 billion fine, I would expect the case to go away at that point. Make the case go away. We'll pay the $4 billion. I think that's a fair deal, probably at that point. I know that's a pretty commercial view of the situation. if you want to have like pure justice, then don't accept the money, you know, don't accept the money. But I think that's how that kind of thing might play out sometimes in the justice system. And that's it, guys. We are like bang on time. We managed to deal appropriately with the Laudio conversation. It didn't overtake. It was fairly measured. We talked Bitcoin Treasury Company, talked Hyperliquid, SEC. Any final thoughts here, boys?
I'm so proud of us.
That's why I was ending the show like this. Like I was really feeling that. Like we managed to contain it.
Yeah, nothing for me. I honestly, like, you know, it's just sit back and watch for the next week and try to keep tabs on stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Maybe an administrative point that might be helpful, Ledge. Maybe you know this. For the people who are like still in the knife fight trying to get into the top 25, is there a snapshot time for that leaderboard? I mean, obviously, so there's this top 1,000 leaderboard, which everyone can go and check if they're on it at the moment, if they'd like to. The pre-sale is meant to be tomorrow. When's the snapshot? Like, surely the leaderboard has to stop at some point in time.
I don't know. The thing that they said is that the first fee distribution will roughly happen 7 days after the Meteora pool is live. Now, the question is, do they take the snapshot for that ex ante or ex post? Like, is it going to be now-ish as well, and you get paid the first week a week later? Or once the first week concludes, then a snapshot will be taken for that, and the top 25 farmers have to continue with this madness for another week? I don't know.
Okay, so that's on the top 25 side. What about on this 1,000 side, the 1,000 trying to get in for the pre-sale? Do we know that for everyone in the audience?
Let me see if they have specified. So the sale is May 31st, 10 a.m. Eastern.
So the 1,000 have to be decided before that, right?
The 1,000 have to be decided at latest at this point, but they don't say the specific snapshot. It's somewhere between now and tomorrow. Swizzy on chain is saying, I think it's going to be pretty close to the actual sale. Don't think it takes too much time, but probably a couple of hours before that. And they probably won't reveal it because then people keep posting because they don't know when it has happened.
Keep posting, guys. That's the game. If you want to play the game, that's the game you have to play. I suspect if there was a confirmed time, someone in the comments would have told us, because we have one of the best comment sections. Shout out to all of you in the comments today. This is some of the most comments both on Twitter and YouTube. We can see all of them. And if you are ever watching us on screen, you can see we've got this like little thing now in the bottom right-hand corner. All of your comments are coming up on screen, and we like pick out some of the ones we find most interesting too. So thanks to you guys. Super insightful to have like just really smart people providing live research as we go live. So that's the show for today. That is the show for the week. We'll be back again with you on Monday. Just a reminder, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern time for 1 hour. We're live on X video, and YouTube, and you can catch up with us on Spotify and Apple if you prefer to consume your content in that way. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care, and we will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.